Hey guys, welcome back into episode number 9 of the Danger Sports Podcast. I'm going to be giving you guys a episode that is a full special. It is a NFL mock draft, my first mock draft of this season. Right into the draft, we're about a month and a half away. Looking forward to probably another one or two possibly mock drafts ahead. After this one, I've got this one to start, and then we will continue after this one. Lots of clarity has been made at the first few picks in the draft, especially the last week or so with some of the news that we've gotten. Right here, I'm going to give you guys my full first round NFL mock draft. At number 1 overall, I have the Chicago Bears taking quarterback Caleb Williams from USC. The most complete quarterback prospect in this draft is Caleb Williams. He's able to make any throw. He's able to create with like no other. We've never seen a creator like Caleb Williams, and he's the best prospect that we've seen in a few years. Definitely better than last year, and definitely better than the year before that. When the best quarterback last year was C.J. Stroud, and the year before that was Brock Purdy in the 7th round. I mean, come on. But Caleb Williams, I have number 1 overall. He's walking into the best situation that a rookie quarterback going number 1 overall. I will say there's been better situations, but number 1 overall, it's the best situation that has ever occurred. I think there's not very much debate either because the Bears now have added Keenan Allen. They have DJ Moore already. They have another number 9 overall pick where they could take a receiver or they could go defensively. But number 1 overall, I think Caleb Williams, I would give it like a 95% chance. It's very, very likely. He's pretty much a lock at this point to go number 1. If Chicago is able to develop him the right way, he could definitely be a franchise QB for the Bears. Number 2 overall, I have the second quarterback coming off the board with the Commanders taking North Carolina quarterback Drake May. He's the number 2 quarterback on my board because he is able to throw the ball deep, middle, short, throw the ball anywhere. He is mobile. I will say he's definitely got the best frame like for a quarterback. He's 6'5", 6'4", I believe. I think a lot of people have been comping him to a Justin Herbert type of a quarterback. I like that comp a lot because big, tall, heck of an arm, decent athlete as well. At times, he doesn't really protect himself as very well when he's sliding, but I'm sure that's pretty simple coaching thing. And if they're able to, like the Bears with Caleb Williams, I think if they're able to develop him right, it could transform a franchise. And they have Jahan Dotson at the number 2 receiver and Terry McLaurin as the number 1 receiver. Offensive line is an issue for them. I've definitely seen that. But for the offense, they need to address, as well as the quarterback position, they need offensive line and receivers. So for the Commanders to take a quarterback at number 2 makes a lot of sense to get started, as I feel like they're only a few pieces away. The receivers are pretty well set. They just need a few depth guys and some more players on the defensive line, and they should be pretty good for the next few years. At number 3, I have the Patriots taking Jayden Daniels. A lot of people have these 2 quarterbacks interchanged, and there's been a lot of debate that maybe Drake May should be the 3rd quarterback on the board rather than Jayden Daniels. I still have Daniels at number 3 because he has not been able to throw the ball over the middle of the field. You see the tape consistently. He is not able to throw the ball over the middle of the field accurately, and he just doesn't. 95% of his plays, you look at the tape, he's throwing the ball on deep fades, go routes, short passes, or like anytime he's attacking the deep part of the field, it's on the outside of the field. He's got receivers like Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas to throw to. So that's an NFL duo, let alone a college duo. LSU has good receivers every single year, it seems. And yeah, they do again this year, and they have Jayden Daniels as well. But Patriots need to add, so we'll see what they can do in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round to try to add to the core that they have. But they're going to start this off with the quarterback in Jayden Daniels. And number 4 overall, I have my highest graded player on this entire draft, which is Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Arizona Cardinals. He falls to 4 because of the positional need of quarterback. If you have the chance to take one of the few best quarterbacks, you do it. You do not think about adding a receiver. You start off with the quarterback, and that's what the first 3 teams have done. Cardinals have their quarterback in Kyler Murray, so they're going to be here and adding a receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. At number 5, I have a trade, my first trade. Anyways, we have the Vikings trading up from number 11 and number 23. They're going up to number 5. They're going to be giving up number 11, 23. So at number 5 overall, I have the Vikings trading up with the Chargers. I have them moving from number 11 to number 5. I have them. They just recently traded up into the first round for the second first round pick. They got number 23 overall. They gave up a second, I believe. I don't know what else they gave up. They gave up a couple future picks and a second round pick this year to move up, and I believe this is to try to trade up for a quarterback, and I think the only guy that they would probably trade up for at this point is J.J. McCarthy, and I think they're going to take him at number 5 overall. Do I think he's the 5th best player? No shot. Do I think the Vikings need a quarterback and they're going to reach for one that they don't exactly think is going to be very good? Yes. J.J. McCarthy I don't think he's very good, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets taken very high because teams need quarterbacks and teams will reach for him. So they'll do anything for him, and that's what I see the Vikings doing. I have them giving up picks number 11, number 23 this year, as well as a third-round pick swap where they give up 108 and they get 110. I could actually see it being more than that. I could see him maybe even giving up another second-round pick. In fact, I believe I did have a second-round pick. So yeah, include a second-round pick next year. So I have a second-round pick next year, 11 and 23, going to the Chargers. And Chargers move down and they get more players. They need more players. They need more young players because they just moved off a bunch of their older players. So yes, this move makes sense for both sides. Number 6, I have the Giants taking Rome Odunze. I think he's the number 3 receiver in this draft. I have Malik Neighbors ahead of him. He goes later here. But Rome Odunze makes more sense as a fit for the Giants schematically, and I think they go with him at 6. At 7, I have the Titans taking offensive tackle from Notre Dame, Joe Alt. 6 foot, I believe 6'8" and 315. Monster of a man. He's not very heavy for an offensive tackle, which is good for most teams. Most teams like lighter offensive tackles. And Joe Alt is, in my mind, by far the best offensive tackle in this draft. This offensive tackle class is loaded, but Joe Alt is one of the best that I've seen as an O-lineman, and definitely the best one in this class, in my opinion. And I like this pick for them here at number 7. At number 8, I have the Atlanta Falcons taking edge rusher Dallas Turner, my top edge rusher on the board, and it makes a lot of sense for Atlanta as they run more of a 3-4 scheme, and Dallas Turner fits that very well as a lighter defensive end / outside linebacker if you want to talk about a 3-4 scheme. A lot of production at Alabama, elite run stopper as an edge rusher, and he fits the scheme, and he's the highest potential edge rusher that there is in this class, and I think he's up there, and maybe, in my opinion, the best edge rusher in this class. At number 9, I have another trade down. I have Chicago trading down to 13 with the Raiders. I have the Raiders trading up to number 9 to take their quarterback, and that is Michael Penix from Washington. I have the Raiders giving up the 13th pick, the 44th pick, the 72nd pick, the 44th pick being a second rounder, the 72nd pick being a third rounder, as well as a second round pick next year for the quarterback that they want. They gave up a massive premium here. They didn't even give up, I don't even think they gave up as much as the Vikings gave up to get J.J. McCarthy, because they needed to get ahead of the Denver Broncos to get their quarterback of choice, which was obviously here Michael Penix. But they move up here because they needed to get ahead of the Broncos, 2 teams in the division that need that quarterback, and they go with Michael Penix, and that is good value in trade down for Chicago, and a good value for I don't know if that's a good value for the Raiders, but it makes sense to get above the Broncos and take the quarterback of their choice that is still on the board. At number 10, finally, here I have Malik Nabers going. Most of my mock drafts, I had him going higher, the ones that I made before I actually started this video. But with all the players and the positional needs going ahead, I would see either Rome Odunze or Malik Nabers, whatever one the Giants don't take at number 6, I believe will fall to the very tail end of the of the top 10. Either being Rome Odunze or Malik Nabers falling to either Chicago at 9 or the Jets at number 10, depending. I know the Jets just signed Mike Williams as their number 2 receiver, but if they get a Malik Nabers, I think Mike Williams would be their number 3 because Malik Nabers is that good right away. He is the most explosive receiver in this draft class. He's going to be a massive deep threat and massive run after catch player. I've compared him a lot to DJ Moore in Chicago, and maybe even a better version of him once he gets a couple years under his belt in the NFL. At number 11, I have the Chargers here with their trade down pick from the Vikings. I have them taking Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle from Penn State. He's slipping on a lot of boards right now. I think his tape isn't as good as a couple of the other offensive tackles, but physical traits pop out and his potential is unreal. And the Chargers need an offensive tackle because they already have Rashawn Slater. They need to get another guy to pair, and Jim Harbaugh would love to take an offensive tackle. The reason they trade down here is because they get other picks. But at number 5, I've seen a lot of people mocking them with Joe Alt at number 5, and honestly I wouldn't disagree because I have actually made a couple of scenarios with Joe Alt at number 5, but here I wanted to include a couple trades in this video. I wanted to be a little bit more fun and entertaining for you guys to watch, so I had a trade down and they are taking Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle from Penn State. At number 12, the Broncos take the final quarterback in this first round, Bo Nix from Oregon. I don't think he's it, but I think he's probably tied for 5th in my honest opinion quarterback in this draft class. I have him tied with J.J. McCarthy. He fits, the reason that I have him to the Broncos, he fits really well with what Sean Payton and his system asks for, which is make the short throws at an elite clip. You think about Drew Brees, what kind of quarterback was he? Threw the ball out, he got it out fast, very precise, and he got the ball out to the receivers before anybody had a chance to get to him from defensive line. So we have them taking Bo Nix, and I don't know if it's going to work out, but I could see them trying to turn him into a Drew Brees type of quarterback, which I don't think he'll be. But maybe a poor man's Drew Brees that is not nearly as good. That's his ceiling, in my opinion. At number 13, with the Bears trading down from 9, have them picking up an edge rusher from Florida State, Jared Verse. Much needed position for them. They already have Montez Sweat as one of their edge rushers. He is proven in this league. He's very good at stopping the run and obviously getting to the quarterback. They need another guy from the opposite side to help them. They need more pass rush opposite of him. And if they do get that, this team could legitimately have a top 5 defense. As last year, in the last 5 games of the year, statistically, in every single major statistic, they were number 1 in the NFL in defense. So with them at 13, I have them adding to the defensive line, getting another piece, and that being Jared Verse. At 14, the Saints are taking whoever was not just taken at the edge rusher position, and that is Laiatu Latu, the edge rusher from UCLA. And he's bigger, and he's the most ready to go edge rusher in this draft. He's got the most technique, I guess, if you say. He has he's going to have a lot of production, probably the most production from an edge rusher in the first year of their career, because he's got a lot of the skills and a lot of the techniques that you want to see from a experienced pass rusher. And at 14, the Saints need a guy opposite of Cam Hayward. And obviously Cam Hayward is getting older, so they need another guy. So they're going with here Laiatu Latu from UCLA. At 15, I have a surprise pick here. None of you guys here will guess what I'm going to do here at number 15. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's a trade down. It's the Colts trading down. But Who's trading up and whom are they trading up for? Just take a wild guess. Who has not been taken yet, but is a position that is consistently undervalued in the NFL? Just guess. Waiting. Anyways, at number 15, I have a massive trade up for the Commanders. They're going to move up and get their second player on the offensive side of the football here in this first round of the draft. I don't think this is going to happen in real life, but it's fun. And I thought, hey, maybe if I want to go a little crazy here, we're going to go out and get some weapons for Drake May. And here they get tight end from Georgia. They get Brock Bowers. They give up their 2 second-round picks this year, 36 and 44, as well as their second-round pick next year and their third-round pick this year. They're going to move up, and they're going to take Brock Bowers here at number 15. I would say he's the top 5 player on my big board. He's fallen here because he's a tight end. Teams do not take tight ends as high. We saw this like last year with Michael Mayer. I don't think he was top 5 on my big board, but he was definitely a first-round talent in my opinion. No, he hasn't been as good as we expected him right away. But eventually, it makes sense, and he's going to... I know he's the best tight end to start this draft class off as tight ends, and he is honestly one of the best tight ends in draft class history definitely since Kyle Pitts, and one of the best ever. Him and Kyle Pitts go neck and neck if you look at them in college. I think it's going to be fun to compare those two. At number 16, I have the Seahawks taking offensive tackle Talise Fuaga, and a lot of people are taking him in the top 10. I don't think he's going to go that early. I could definitely see him going earlier than 16 where I have him here, but I do have him falling to 16 with some of the teams prioritizing the quarterback and the weapons around the quarterback, as well as some of the defensive spots that need to be filled. And I have him going Talise Fuaga here. I would have had them taking a guy like Troy Fontenot, but Talise Fuaga makes more sense. He's a better player. Fuaga fits the scheme, obviously, as their new offensiff coordinator comes right from Washington, and he's going to Seattle. So, hey, I wouldn't be so shocked if they were interested in Michael Penix. But if you would have asked me a few weeks ago, but now that's not going to happen because they just traded for Sam Howell. So it's going to be a competition between him and Geno Smith. But here we're going to figure out who's helping protect him. At number 17, we have another receiver going, and it's the Jaguars taking Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, that second receiver in the LSU offense. I could see him being the receiver 1 right away for the Jaguars because their best receiver as of right now is Gabe Davis. And they also have a couple other guys, but Brian Thomas is a good player and they need another receiver. I could see them taking one here in the first round. The Bengals are taking offensive tackle J.C. Latham. He's fallen pretty far, actually. And there's going to be a few players that are better than... They're going to go higher than they should, and there's going to be players that go lower than they should from right away from what we see right here and from what we see in the future that we can't exactly expect. Terrion Arnold makes it back-to-back Alabama players, with the Rams taking a cornerback here at 19. They need more defensive players. They need a cornerback. They just need a cornerback, so I have them taking the best cornerback on the board, and in my opinion, that is Terrion Arnold from Alabama. At number 20, we have the Steelers taking a much-needed position in offensive tackle Amarius Mims. I like this a lot, not only because it creates the tandem between Broderick Jones and Amarius Mims from college. I like that pairing a lot. Obviously, they have experience together playing on the same offensive line. So, it makes sense, and they're going to be battling out. Well, they're not going to be battling. They're both going to be starting for the two quarterbacks that are battling out in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson for the Steelers. 21, I have the Dolphins taking offensive tackle / guard. You could say he's a guard or a tackle. I have him taking Troy Fontenot. And the Dolphins need to take an offensive lineman here, so I have them taking Fautanu because he is versatile. He can play guard or tackle, and it makes a lot of sense because the versatility. At number 22, I have the Eagles taking another versatile player who can play multiple positions, and Cooper DeJean, who can play corner/safety from Iowa. He would have gone much earlier if he didn't get hurt. He would have probably gone in the top 15 to 12 range, but he's falling here because of the torn ACL late in the year. I'm sure he'll be ready, but teams are going to be questionable of that injury. A lot of players get injured and then their draft stock declines, and then it ends up teams feel like it's a steal, but then they figure out it's not once they get the medicals on the player. So, yeah, Cooper DeJean here at number 22. Seems like an Eagles pick to me. 23, I have the Chargers with their second of 2 picks that they got in the trade down from, second of, I believe, 3 or 4 that they got in the trade down with the Vikings, and they are getting cornerback Quinyon Mitchell. They need a corner really, really bad. Their secondary isn't great outside of the 2 safeties. They need a corner. They just cut J.C. Jackson after they took a gamble on him. They do have Asante Samuel, who's a pretty promising player, but they need another corner, and I see them taking Quinyon Mitchell here at 23. At 24, the Cowboys are taking offensive tackle from Oklahoma, Tyler Guyton, who is in that 3-4 type of 3-4 range of, I guess, of offensive linemen, and I like it because they really need offensive tackle after they just let go of Tyron Smith. They weren't able to re-sign him as he was going to join Aaron Rodgers on the Jets, and that team is going to be really good, by the way, next year. Watch out for the Jets. But Cowboys at Tyler Guyton, I like this pick. I honestly think this is a pick that makes a ton of sense for the Cowboys, and that's why they're picking it, obviously. That's why I have them making that pick. At 25, I have the Packers taking another corner, and that is Nate Wiggins from Clemson. Really good player, and they need a second corner opposite of Jair Alexander. They just let go of Rasul Douglas at the trade deadline last year. They traded him for, I believe, a 3rd-round pick, and they're going to get another cornerback here by taking Nate Wiggins from Clemson. At number 26, I have the Buccaneers taking one of the most explosive, one of the most best 3rd to 4th tier players in this draft, and that is Chop Robinson, a pass rusher, edge rusher from Penn State. The stats aren't really there. Typically, some of the stats are not as good as they really should be on paper with some of these edge rushers, but Chop Robinson, the most explosive edge rusher as far as getting off the ball, making stuff happen with pure speed and size. Unbelievable talent he has. He could be, don't quote me, he could be a very similar player to Micah Parsons. He may not be as good. I don't think he will be as good, obviously, but he's got that type of upside, and I like the pick here for the Buccaneers as they need another edge rusher. At number 27, have the first of 2 defensive tackles that go here in the first round here late, and I have Jerzon Newton of Illinois going here. They need interior help. They did sign Justin Jones, but let's be honest, he's a depth piece. He's not really a starter in the NFL. He could pass as a starter, but let's be honest, they're overpaying a depth player as a starter. They need a guy like this really badly. They already took Marvin Harrison, so they don't need another weapon. I like the pick here of Jerzon Newton at number 27 to the Arizona Cardinals. At number 28, back-to-back defensive tackles, we have Byron Murphy II going number 28 to the Bills, defensive tackle, and I think he has even more of an upside than Jerzon Newton. He's got, if you look at his relative athletic score and you compare it to Aaron Donald, don't quote me on this, it's shockingly similar. It's weird. It's actually kind of suspect. They're both considered to be underweight for a defensive tackle, which is like low 300 pound, he's actually a little under 300 pounds, which is exactly what Aaron Donald was. But anyways, these guys are similar in a lot of ways. I like the comp, but he's at the best, honestly, he's probably a poor man's Aaron Donald, which is not a bad thing at all. That's actually one of the top 3-4 best defensive tackles in the NFL. Poor man's Aaron Donald is not bad at any stretch. That's his best, I believe. And I like the pick here to the Bills. They need more interior help, so they're picking Mr. Byron Murphy. The Lions at 29 take a cornerback, the final cornerback of this first round. I have them taking Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama. the second Alabama corner to come off here in the first round. They needed corners desperately. They just got Carlton Davis. That was a good move. They still need another starter, and I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is exactly that. They need a corner. Kool-Aid McKinstry's a corner. He's a good one. They need a good one, so they should be taking Kool-Aid McKinstry if he's on the board. So I like the pick here at 29. It makes a lot of sense to me. Secondary is pretty much one of their only weaknesses at this point. Their window for Super Bowl contention is really running low because they're going to have to extend guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown and a lot of the other players on that team that are young. Young team, a lot of guys to extend. So their window is running short. An instant impact player in Kool-Aid McKinstry could be a big and much needed player for them, and I like to pick at number 29. At 30, we're going to start off a couple of receivers that are going to end off this draft. We have A.D. Mitchell of Texas going to the Ravens. They just took Zay Flowers in the first round last year, and they're going to continue by getting another receiver in the first round in 2020 by taking A.D. Mitchell from Texas. Athletic freak. If you just watch the tape from Washington, that game only, this guy jumps like crazy. This guy is hanging in the air like Michael Jordan out here making these contested catches. And the guy's like small. It doesn't make any sense. He's not even like, that was by far his best game, but he is more of a speed guy. He runs a 4.35 40, which is very, very good. Not as good as his teammate. Wink, wink. Hint, maybe. But A.D. Mitchell, I like the pick a lot. They need another receiver opposite of Zay Flowers, and A.D. Mitchell makes a lot of sense. He could be very good in the NFL, and I like the pick for the Ravens. At number 31, I have another one of these offensive linemen that are extremely versatile. I would say the most versatile offensive lineman in the NFL draft this year, and Graham Barton is going number 31 because he can play center, guys. His primary position is guard. He can play tackle. This dude can play any position on the front five that you want him to play. He can be anywhere, anytime, any place, because this guy is a jack of all trades. Very valuable because not only is he very good, he is also very good at multiple positions. I would say he projects as a guard, obviously. That's where he played at Duke. But I wouldn't be shocked if they moved him to center or made him a backup guy that can play one of those. There's a couple guys for each team. There's a guy for each team or so that can play a guard tackle position, but there's not very many guys that can be a backup center, backup guard, backup tackle, or even a backup center, maybe a starting guard and a backup tackle. Makes a lot of sense for the 49ers. They have such a good roster and depth. They can't really take very many more starters because their team's stacked, obviously, when you look at the depth chart. But when you go with Graham Barton, you get a guy who, even if he doesn't even start, obviously in a first round you're looking for a starter, but if he doesn't start, you're not going to be missing out because this guy is going to be playing all over the place. Love the pick for the 49ers. At number 32, we've seen all over social media. Xavier Worthy got the 4.21 40-yard dash, broke the record by 0.01 seconds, 0.01 second of John Ross. He broke his record. We know how the Chiefs love their fast receivers. They just picked up Hollywood Brown. Him with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. My goodness. That would go crazy. Xavier Worthy is a good route runner, very good route runner, very underrated because a lot of people like to say, oh, he's fast, so he's probably not a good route runner. Then obviously you don't watch the tape because this guy is a freak. Very small. Very small. He's like 6 foot 165 or something. Teams are going to want him to put on 10 to 15 pounds. Let's be honest. But that speed is ridiculous. The Chiefs could be thinking about what they had with Tyreek Hill, what they had with Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and all those other fast receivers that they've had that they love to put with Patrick Mahomes. Xavier Worthy is probably one of the best high-end, like as far as he could be a big boom bust type of player. I love the pick for the Chiefs. They're in a position to make this type of a risk. And if they take this risk, dare I say Tyreek Hill again? I could see it. I could, and I hate to say it because I don't like the Chiefs. I don't think anybody in the NFL likes the Chiefs right now, other than Chiefs fans. But have him going, Xavier Worthy. Very fun pick here at number 32. That concludes my first mock draft. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.